right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I have for you guys today, Phil Heath. So, rather surprisingly, Phil Heath has been a pretty large topic of conversation lately due to the nature of the physique updates that he's been posting and how lean he looks. And then recently, even posting a comment on one of Hunter Labrada's pictures where he said he is prepping for something, but we don't know. But it's not what we expect. It's not what we think it would be. So he's kind of dropping all these Easter eggs, dropping all these hints. He's talking about in Instagram stories that he's on a diet right now. And one of my subscribers actually sent me a pretty fascinating clip from an interview he did on Patrick Bet-David's podcast where he mentions the Arnold Classic. Let me roll that clip for you guys right here.
For the Olympia, I think there's a lot of conversation that needs to happen. I think for the Arnold Classic, there needs to be a lot of conversation. And at the end of the day, all they have to do is just sit us down. If someone wanted me to do one of the shows, right? Mm-hmm. Have they called? When I said last time, I said my phone's on. You think anyone called? They didn't, because sometimes they don't want power to the player. But I think what happened with UFC when Conor McGregor.
So in that clip, he's referencing a previous episode that he had done on that podcast where he was asked if he was going to compete again or do the Olympia, and he responded with, "My phone is on," as in they need to contact him, they need to get in touch with him if they want to see him compete. Now, in this particular video clip, he specifically references the Arnold Classic, saying they have not reached out to him. And in a way, him saying that is implying that if they had reached out to him and sent him a special invite, maybe he would have entertained that idea and considered competing. Now, this was the same podcast where he's discussing at length that bodybuilders should get paid more, which I agree with 100%. I think bodybuilders are severely underpaid. The top prize in the sport being less than $500,000 comparatively to other sports is a very, very low sum of money, especially considering the fact that the Olympia is only once a year. And that's not even just referencing the Olympia. Even if you look at like some of the smaller shows that qualify for the Olympia, winning those shows, some of them, is like $10,000. So imagine if you're a pro bodybuilder, you only compete once to qualify for the Olympia. You win one of these shows, win about 10 grand, go to the Olympia, don't place, so you don't get any money at the Olympia. Your prize money all year is 10 grand. If you only wanted to do that one show to get to the Olympia and you won it, you get 10 grand from the actual organization itself. Now, if you're the 1 in 1,000 or however many IFBB pros there are in men's open bodybuilding that actually wins the Olympia, you get less than $500,000, which is pretty substantially lower than almost any other athlete gets paid in any other major sport, let alone the best athlete in that entire league gets paid. Now, granted, that doesn't take into account the endorsements and sponsorships, and from what I know, and what people that I've talked to and what I've heard, the average pro bodybuilder deal, if you're like a top Olympian, let's say you're top 10, but let's say between 6 and 10, a good to average contract with a supplement company, if you're in that 6 to 10 range maybe at the Olympia, would be about $5,000 per month. I would say only if you're in the top 3, you would be talking about $15,000 plus per month from a supplement sponsorship or just any individual deal. And like I'm saying, that doesn't account for combined deals. You could have a clothing deal combined with a supplement deal. But the point is, if you're a top 10 Olympian, it's not like it's easy to get to 6 figures per year. Now, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but that's just kind of how it is. And that was the context behind the clip of Phil Heath, and I kind of wanted to discuss the context a little bit, but he's basically saying there needs to be more open communication between the athletes and the promoters, and maybe, it gives me a little bit of hope, because like I said, I want to see Phil do the Arnold Classic. I don't know if he's going to, but that's the show that I would like to see him do. I've been told by some people that claim to be in the know that Phil is prepping for an acting role, and he's not prepping for a show. So there's that possibility as well. But I thought this clip was interesting in the sense that he did kind of say, my phone is on, maybe if they reached out. And now a word from our sponsors over at Labrada Nutrition. Come on. Now, next up in the news, I think this one's a little bit of a stretch, but I've had enough of you guys send this story to me with the same comment that I wanted to address it here. Big Ramy posted a recent Instagram story where a lot of people that sent it to me we're acknowledging the fact that it looked like he already had the death face. At this point in his prep, he would be about 10 weeks out from the Olympia in 2021. And a lot of people were sending this story to me wondering, why would Big Ramy's face already look like this? Why would Big Ramy, appear to be so lean already and appear to be on the verge of having a death face at 10 weeks out from the Olympia? And a lot of people wondering if that means he would be competing sooner than the Olympia, again, in a show potentially like the Arnold Classic, which is only about 2 weeks prior to the Olympia, making Ramy in about that 8 weeks out range from the Arnold Classic if he were to do that. Personally, I don't think it looks so much like a death face to me. It does look like he's lean right now. His face certainly doesn't look bloated or puffy or anything of that nature, but I think it would be a bit of a stretch to call this story the death face from Big Ramy already. I don't really see it as that, but a lot of you guys sent it to me. A lot of you guys thought the same thing, and a lot of you guys thought that it might mean he's competing sooner than the Olympia. While I guess that is a possibility, personally, I don't think so. I think Ramy's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders to try to repeat and defend the title that he won last year. I think his focus needs to be the Olympia. I don't think Ramy needs to do any other show. Obviously, he doesn't need to qualify because he's last year's winner. Personally, I think his focus should be peaking for the Olympia and the Olympia only and trying to replicate the conditioning that he brought last year or even better conditioning than that. So as he can't be defeated this year and it's not just a fluke of a win, and I would say if he defends, things are looking pretty good for the reign of Big Ramy. If he's able to win again this year and he's able to prove that he can keep replicating that conditioning, I think that's going to be a big, big advantage for Ramy in the years to come. And I think he might be unbeatable for a couple of years. If Ramy truly has figured out that recipe, that formula to bring the condition that has eluded him for so long, I think this could be the beginning of the reign of Big Ramy, but if and only if he can replicate that conditioning. And that's what we're going to find out at this year's Mr. Olympia, if it was a one-time thing or not. All right, now next up, I wanted to share with you guys this clip of John Meadows, basically speaking on the state of bodybuilding, the impressive lineup at the Chicago Pro, and I really do agree with him on this. A lot of these younger bodybuilders, these up-and-coming new generation guys, they are really proving that it's a new era, and they're really proving that they can work hard too. They are just as good, if not better, than the guys that came before them. They do get a lot of flack. A lot of people say these newer guys don't diet as hard, they don't work as hard, they don't train as hard, they're lazy, etc., etc. And the Chicago Pro, I think this weekend proved that a lot of these younger guys are really, really good and really hard-working bodybuilders. So here's what John Meadows had to say when it comes to that topic.
All right. Hi, everybody. Just got done training, had an awesome workout, and I just wanted to say I was very motivated today based on what I saw this weekend at the Chicago Pro. The competition was fantastic. It's been many years since I've been to a show that fun, that competitive, where the crowd was really into it. I spent many years going back watching videos of guys like Kevin LeBron and Tom Platz and Jay Cutler, to draw some inspiration from before I train and just in general. And it was interesting that the young guys are the guys that I drew some inspiration from today. And, we hear a lot of people talk about how the younger guys don't work as hard, they don't diet as hard. And, yeah, maybe there's some people that don't, but there are a lot of young guys out there that do work really hard. And this weekend was a reflection of that. So I'm really proud and happy this kind of newer, younger generation of bodybuilders coming up. I know they're working hard. It showed on stage. And it's nice. It's nice because, as one of the older guys, you want to see your sport continue to have guys at the top that are good people. Like right now, guys like Brandon Curry and Big Ramy, they're good people, so I want to see them do really well. But it's nice to see the younger guys coming up that are just good people and to see them doing so well, and it's because of how hard they work. But anyways, just some thoughts for today. I'm very, very proud of the young guys, the younger generation. From an old guy, just want you to know I'm drawing some inspiration from you, so keep up the good work.
And the final story that I have for you guys today, James Hollingshead speaking on the state of being a pro bodybuilder, essentially discussing how hard it is to travel as a pro bodybuilder comparatively to other sports. I think this is an interesting addition to this video considering the topic that we discussed earlier as it pertains to bodybuilders being paid more in the conversation that Phil had on that Patrick Bet David podcast. So I'm going to roll for you guys what James had to say, and you guys can let me know in the comment section below whether you agree or disagree with the statements James made in that Instagram TV video.
Right. Where do I begin with this video? This is a slight frustration video. This is like me just expressing some realities and some truths of being a professional bodybuilder and what it entails or what it doesn't entail. So, you know, I sit at home and I watch a lot of sports, things like the Olympics, World's Strongest Man, stuff like that. And, you know, I've witnessed this year that travel for such sports has been fine. Football, people are able to go here, there, everywhere as long as they're professional. Obviously there's paperwork involved and whatnot, but I'll tell you this, with being a professional bodybuilder, there's like no paperwork you can do. Like you literally have to do all the loophole jumping yourself. There is no governing body that can support you. Like it's not like World's Strongest Man or FIFA or the Olympic Committee can reach out and help you get to countries. So, you know, when people are asking what you're going to do about the Olympia, etc., I'm still trying to work it out. Like, I'm still looking at options. And it is a headache. It's a stress. And we're at such a disadvantage here, this side of the water, when you're not in America. So that goes for my European friends. That goes for my British friends. It's really difficult because we're constantly looking at ways like, how can I go here, there, and everywhere? Because funnily enough, being a professional in this bodybuilding, I mean, when I say professional, I mean legit professional with contracts, qualifying for Mr. Olympia, which is a show that pays out $400K to the winner. Like, it's no joke. We still can't sign a paper for a competition and be allowed to travel. It's really difficult. So you can ask any of the others. You can ask people that are from this country, like Rhea Gale, people like, like Rhea, for example. They've had to jump hoops and loops to be able to get to the Olympia. And it really takes away from a prep. It takes away from the enjoyment. It takes away from the focus, because in the back of your mind, you're constantly thinking about how am I going to get here and there? How am I going to have my amenities on hand? How am I going to be able to like just prep to my 100% capacity? So, you know, I've been putting my head down with like Redcon, trying to work out how to even get to the States for months, without it being an issue with prep. And there's literally hardly any way. So I suppose this video is just saying why is it so difficult to be able to get a professional, like we are literally professionals, like over to the other side of the water? Like, why is it so difficult? Someone help me out. That's just how I'm feeling. Stressed.
And that's going to wrap it up for today's video, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet already. As always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out.